What up, cuckolds? It's your boy, the Hater, and I decided to watch Raw tonight. And by watch Raw, of course, I mean DVR it on Hulu Live, and then eventually around 12:15 start fast forwarding through this garbage just to get an idea of what, if anything, happened. And I got news for you. Absolutely nothing happened. But let's go over all that nothing and discuss it a little bit. First up, show opens up. Rhea Ripley comes out with long hair. Half of that hair is extensions, but she looks better with long hair than short hair. Just my opinion. She comes out with her arm in a sling. She cuts a promo about how she's going to be gone for the foreseeable future because apparently at some juncture, maybe last week or something, Liv Morgan injured her, right? Now, for some reason, Liv Morgan is the bad guy in this, even though she injured Liv Morgan first. We're supposed to care more about Rhea Ripley because I guess we just like her more, right? Liv Morgan comes out. She's wearing a shirt that says Liv Revenge Tour. I really like this. I don't know why. I just really like the idea, right? Because maybe it's because this reminds me of wrestling how it used to be, right? That people come back for revenge. Like Stone Cold gets run over for Rikishi by Rikishi, who did it for The Rock, and it turns out it was Triple H all along, and Stone Cold goes and lays them both out eventually, right? And, eventually goes and becomes a WWE champion again. So, I really enjoyed this. Nothing came of it in the end. Rhea Ripley hugs the Judgment Day and tells them, keep dominating or whatever, right? During the promo that she cut, she stumbled her words. She tried to cover it, but she's just not good on the mic, right? Nobody in Judgment Day really is anything special. I like Rhea Ripley overall. Out of the women, she's obviously one of the better ones. But she's nothing special, right? She can't cut a decent promo. She, mixed up two words, and both of the ideas behind the two words were that she was told something, right? She said, I think she was I was told, and then she said, it was relayed to me or something like that. Both are perfectly acceptable. Maybe she doesn't know the difference, and that there is no real difference. But anyways, she apologized. She was like, I'm flustered. First of all, don't ever admit that. But anyways, I digress. That's not that important. Then we get some hype for the return of Sheamus. Next up, we get Sheamus versus Ivar. Sheamus has his old theme back, kind of, right? Not really, but you hear part of it in there somewhere, right? Sheamus hits an avalanche white noise. It was pretty cool, but all respect to Ivar was basically holding himself up there, right? Because ain't no way anybody's holding Ivar like that against his own will. Sheamus does the kneecap, which is the new name for his move. It's basically the bro kick, but with a knee, right? Maybe that could be his finisher when he can't do the bro kick anymore. Then he hits the bro kick and wins, right? Nothing special here. Sheamus, it felt like a big deal because Sheamus is Sheamus, but it reminded me of the time when Sheamus was a jobber, and someone that I didn't think was anything special. But now in comparison, Sheamus feels like John Cena. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Next up, we have a commercial break, of course, and that's kind of the theme of this show. There was 1,000 commercials every 10 seconds, right? Not only the commercial breaks, which total the number of 15, I counted the little indentations on the Hulu thing, but everything was a commercial, right? Every 5 seconds, Michael Cole would tell us about that CM Punk action figure, or about Men's Warehouse is sponsoring this match. We heard about Men's Warehouse 25 times during this entire event. And I didn't even watch all of it, cucks. I watched the parts that matter, right? But anyways, doesn't matter. Triple H comes out. He's got new tag team titles. This is consistent with present-day WWE, right? The New Day or the Usos are the longest-reigning Raw tag team champions, and the other one's the longest-reigning SmackDown tag team champions. But it doesn't matter, because whoever is going to be the longest-reigning World Tag Team Champions, which are the new world titles, or the new World Tag Team titles, they can hold that as a prestigious thing, right? It's not going to matter anymore. Someone can say, well, Jimmy and Jey Uso are the longest reigning SmackDown Tag Team Champions, but DIY are the longest reigning World Tag Team Champions. It means absolutely nothing, right? You change the name of the titles every 5 months, it feels like, and all of a sudden, I'm supposed to give a rat's ass, right? Why does this keep happening, right? Why do they keep changing the titles? How about come up with a good title that you don't have to change, But it is what it is. New titles come up. This entire segment took 25 minutes, and quite frankly, it was boring, right? Miz spoke in French. R-Truth did his thing, but it's getting a little overplayed. We get it. R-Truth is retarded, right? If someone is really this retarded, you would get them help. If this was real, and R-Truth is so stupid that he can't tell the difference between Triple H and Tommaso Ciampa, then you would just call the hospital. You'd be like, I'm sorry, we have someone who's clinically retarded, right? But, he's our employee, so we'd like to get him some help. You don't put him in a match to get his ass beat even further, right? But I digress. I understand what the point is. R-Truth didn't get much of a reaction. Nobody really got any reactions today. The fans reacted when Miz spoke French. They blew their minds off when that happened. But beyond that, nobody really gave a fuck, right? And honestly, Triple H coming out every week is getting a little repetitive and a little stale, right? There's no need for any of this. This could have been a 1-minute backstage segment. But nevertheless, this was followed up by the number one contenders match for these same tag team titles, right? I don't know why these are the teams that are the number one contender match, but these are the teams that are in there. We had DIY, who have one of the worst entrance themes of all time. The Creed brothers, who are severely underused. And of course, Cucky Kingston and Xavier Woods. Basically, the Creed brothers get their ass whooped. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Wood hit like a bunch of moves. Xavier hits the limit break, and then he gets hit out of nowhere, basically. Gargano and Ciampa come in, and they hit the meeting in the middle, and that's the end of that. They win. Who cares, right? The idea is that, I don't know where they're going with this, but the idea that the disrespect that Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are supposed to be thought of as the new Triple H and Shawn Michaels is just absurd. It's just stupid. It really highlights how dumb this is. But anyways, the match wasn't anything special. I couldn't give a shit, right? Drew McIntyre breaks a TV backstage, and we quickly move on. Then we had Candice LeRae versus Indy Hartwell. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile. I didn't watch this match, obviously. I fast-forwarded, but the notes that I'm reading here from the internet tell me that Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell won. I couldn't give a shit. Then Andrade comes out, and he's going to wrestle Dominic Mysterio. A few things that were interesting here was Dominic did like what I'm going to call a Dominic Destroyer on the apron. But, of course, it meant nothing. Andrade eventually hits the message, which is his new finisher, whatever, and wins, right? Then, all of a sudden, JD attacks Andrade, and we have a recap of what happened on Friday night, which takes another 25 minutes, it feels like. Then we have Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Once again, I'm told that Chelsea Green and Piper Niven win, but to be honest, I didn't watch this match either. It wasn't, I know that it's two women's matches. It's not because they're women. It's just that I don't have time to watch this garbage, you know what I'm saying? Then next up, this part I did watch. Cucky Rhodes comes out, right? I watched it just so I could do this video and to see whether Cucky Rhodes actually accomplished anything with this promo today. The answer is a solid no. He comes out, says fucking nothing, right? He literally says nothing. He's just there being like, I may have to wrestle AJ Styles or LA Knight. Like, that's what he said Friday. Then he talks about the bloodline, and I don't know why. He basically says, Rock, I'm going to make you bleed if you make me bleed. Fantastic. Who cares? The Rock's gone. Like, The Rock, he declared last week, he was like, I'm gone. That's it. I'm gone. See you when I get back. So stop talking about it. It doesn't make any sense. Why didn't Cody Rhodes just say this on Raw after WrestleMania when The Rock gave him the dildo or whatever the fuck he gave him? Just say it then. He waits like 3 weeks, and then he says it. He's like, Rock, I'm going to make you bleed too. Then Jey Uso comes out, and Cody Rhodes offers to back him up in his match against Damian Priest. This makes me realize that despite the fact that Rhodey, let's just call him Rhodey from now on. Despite the fact that Rhodey is a SmackDown guy, these are his own words, Rhodey's own words. Despite the fact that Rhodey's a SmackDown guy, he gets this like 15-minute segment on Raw. Meanwhile, the alleged Raw champion, Damian Priest, doesn't get any moment, right? Like, just Cody Rhodes gets his moment too. But whatever, it is what it is. Jey Uso comes out, he doesn't want help. Nobody gives a shit. The crowd is dead this entire time. Cody Rhodes makes a few jokes, they fall completely flat. There's a part where he says like, there was 2 jokes he made with the word yeet. First, when he introduces Uso, he says it, nobody reacts, like complete crickets. Like, people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he's like, thanks for the dad joke, Montreal. Like, he just basically admits that he's a cringe douchebag. But then eventually, Jey Uso comes out. Jey Uso reignites the fans up a little bit. They like him. And then Jey Uso just gets the fans to say yeet a few times, right? The fans, especially this crowd was especially stupid because, first of all, like, they got everything wrong. Like, number one, during Cody Rhodes' promo, they're chanting for Sami Zayn. Then Jey Uso comes out and he does like the hands thing, and the whole crowd is completely out of sync, right? They're not in sync with each other. Some of them obviously are going to be in sync with Jey Uso because the whole crowd was so out of sync with each other that some people just by random chance are going to be in sync with Jey Uso. It's just like, it was a crowd of like complete morons, it just seemed like, right? Everyone was trying to do the hand thing, but they have like no coordination. It's very odd. But anyways, it is what it is. We're not worried about the crowd here, except for the fact that the crowd can be manipulated, and they were. So they said yeet when Jey Uso would point, right? He's making that a thing, and the crowd will do what they're told. The crowd will sing the themes of people that have singable themes. The crowd will say the catchphrase of the people who say the catchphrase. That's just a fact of wrestling, right? It's always been like that. But what the crowd did not do, that they should have done, and that they could have done, and that they would have done during the Attitude Era, is that they would randomly chant for the wrestlers they like, right? So if The Rock's cutting a promo, right, in the middle of the promo, it's very possible the fans would just start chanting, Rocky, Rocky, right? And it would have this kind of organic feel that all of a sudden, mid-promo, the fans just appreciate The Rock. None of this happens with Cody ever, right? They cheer for him when he comes out, before he talks, and then they just let him talk, probably because they're bored out of their minds or possibly falling asleep. Cody Rhodes makes another yeet joke, and then Rhodey gets out of there and then says yeet again for some reason, right? Like, yeet is not a good catchphrase, but it's not even Cody's catchphrase. When other wrestlers that are main eventers use the catchphrase of lower level wrestlers unironically, it's stupid and it makes them feel small time. Let's be real. That's just how it is, right? You would never hear The Rock come out and say, hello, ladies, right? He would never do that, right? He might do that to make fun of someone like Val Venus, but he wouldn't actually do it, in a form of endearment, right? Even when Kane said, it doesn't matter what you think to The Rock, it was ironically. But anyways, next up we have Jey Uso versus Finn Balor. This is obviously a boring match, and it ends the same way that every Jey Uso match ends. Well, now there's a new formula. In the past, it used to be eventually Jey Uso hits the super kick and then the splash. Now, they've tweaked the formula slightly. Jey Uso hits the spear and then hits the splash and wins, right? Jey Uso did a splash. It was not as good as Ivar's, but both Ivar's and Jey Uso's splashes are like 100 times better than Gunther's splash. Gunther, by the way, nowhere to be seen. You know what I'm saying? There you have it. People are like, Gunther's going to get a huge push after Mania. Who gives a shit? People already forgot about him. Like, it's all about Sami Zayn now, cucks. But anyways, the match was boring, and in my opinion, it was stupid. The reason why it was stupid is because, first of all, Finn Balor and Damian Priest are presented up until this point as equals, right? Judgment Day doesn't have a leader, and Finn and Damian were the tag team champions. So why is Finn lower than Damian Priest? Obviously, the answer is Damian Priest has the title, but he didn't win the title in this like valiant effort. Like, he didn't earn the title. He just won a bullshit match after cashing in. But for some reason, even though Jey Uso clearly and cleanly beats Finn Balor, I'm supposed to believe that for some reason Damian Priest is going to be any more of a threat. But that's neither here nor there. The reason why it was stupid was because you already had Cody Rhodes in the ring. Now, I understand Cody Rhodes is not going to wrestle. Like, he's going to wrestle wherever the fuck he feels like. It's just Roman Reigns 2.0, but with less charisma and less crowd reaction. But you did have Cocky Rhodes there. So instead of having Cocky Rhodes come out in a suit for some reason, just have him come out in, like, I don't know, normal clothes so that he can switch into, like, a form of ring gear. And this could have easily been a tag team match, right? Instead of having Jey Uso versus Finn Balor, you could have had the former tag team champions, Jey Uso and Cocky Rhodes, also known as Rhodey, versus the Judgment Day. But why? Why show us the wrestlers that actually matter? Why should Cody Rhodes wrestle? Why should Damian Priest, the champion, wrestle? Like, we don't deserve to see actual champions wrestler. You know, like, we're lucky to get, like, Johnny Gargano on TV, the guy that was in NXT for, like, 19 years. That guy is now, like, wrestling on Raw. But whatever, you know, that's what they give us. That's what we take. Obviously, Jey Uso, I just said, beats that jobber. Then, for some reason, inexplicably, the camera just follows Jey Uso out of the arena, at which point Jey Uso encounters Sami Zayn, and then the camera follows Sami Zayn. Well, why the fuck were you following Jey Uso? You know what I'm saying? Like, these things have to make sense. They're following Jey Uso, and then, oh, Sami Zayn's here, so Jey Uso's leaving. Well, like, he was wearing no shirt, he just walks outside the arena, right? No reason to explain any of this. Sami Zayn gets in there, The fans are hype as fuck. I will admit, right? When Sami Zayn comes out, he comes out through the crowd, and the fans are obviously giving him a reaction because they are in Montreal. Him and Chad Gable have a match. The match was pretty long. I didn't watch all of it, obviously, because who has time for this? I already knew how the match was going to end. Sami Zayn was eventually going to do a haluva kick and pin Gable. Typically, it was going to be like Sami Zayn's going to get his ass beat. Then he's probably going to do his little exploder suplex thing he does in the corner, right? He's just basically going to catch Chad Gable running at him. When Chad Gable's ready to do his finisher, he's going to catch him, throw him, haluva kick. That's exactly what happened. So Sami Zayn retains. His family's in the front row. He goes and hugs them. Chad Gable, even though he hugged Sami Zayn, comes up and starts beating the hell out of Sami Zayn. That's how it ends. This would have been interesting if it weren't for the fact that their show closed with Chad Gable. Chad Gable, who is on TV maybe 5 times a year. The same Chad Gable that has never won anything. Like Michael Cole made sure to tell us, Chad Gable has fucking won nothing in his career. Michael Cole basically said it just like that. He's like, Chad Gable's a 4-time tag team champion, but he's won 0 singles titles, right? Chad Gable is a jobber. Now, I like Chad Gable. I'll actually go as far as saying that this was definitely the best match of the night, even the little parts that I saw. And in the last 4 to 5 minutes that I saw, Chad Gable did more moves in those 4 minutes than Gunther has done his entire career. As a matter of fact, then Gunther and Nakamura combined have done in their entire careers. So I like Chad Gable, but he is a jobber. And a jobber by no means should be closing the show. And the fulcrum of the ending of the show should never be a jobber turns heel. Who gives a fuck if Chad Gable's face or heel? Doesn't matter. It's Chad Gable. You know what I mean? Now, hopefully this leads to a push for Chad Gable, but who cares, right? Chad Gable might become the Intercontinental title, but the Intercontinental title is so completely meaningless that I don't give a shit if Chad Gable wins it or doesn't win it, right? Michael Cole also threw in this subliminal fact. He was like, well, one title that Sheamus has never won is the Intercontinental title. Yeah, Sheamus is better than the Intercontinental title. You know what I mean? That's a title for the Gunthers of the world. It's a title for the Evan Bournes of the world, right? It's not a title for the Sheamuses. But nevertheless, this Raw was complete garbage. I didn't enjoy it at all, and it's consistent with everything I've been saying. Also, I'd like to say one more thing. The next pay-per-view is Backlash or whatever, right? And as far as I can tell, I don't think Cody Rhodes is going to wrestle in that pay-per-view, right? They kept kind of insinuating that the main event of this pay-per-view is going to be... wait, isn't he going to wrestle the winner of LA Knight? I guess he's going to wrestle that person, right? But either way, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be a fun match anyways. It's going to be... Oh, yeah, it's going to be in France. So I'm trying to find out. So I don't even need to worry about it. It's going to be in France. Of course he's going to wrestle. They're not going to go all the way to France to have this guy be a jobber. But anyways, it'll be him versus AJ Styles, obviously. And unless it's a triple threat. And that's going to be... Cody Rhodes is going to win. Damian Priest is going to win. I mean, it's simple as that. Nobody gives a shit about either of them. So eventually, the fans are going to turn on Cody. Now, it's difficult to have the fans turn yet because now they're going to weird-ass places, right? So we have a few months of weird-ass places. So it's when WWE goes to Berlin, who I don't think has ever seen a WWE match in their entire lives, they're going to cheer for Cody Rhodes because that's just what they're going to do, right? Same thing in France, and honestly, same thing in Montreal, right? These are people that don't really watch wrestling as often, as a country. I mean, I know wrestling's big in Canada, quote unquote, but you know what I mean? WWE is mostly in the States, and once in a while they go to Canada, and Montreal's even weirder. So when they go to Montreal, Montreal's like, oh shit, they're here for the first time in 8 months. So, I'm going to be excited about that, and I'm going to cheer for the face. When people turn on Cody, it'll be in a few months after we do this stupid ass European tour it's gonna be just having Gunther pushed down our throats. Gunther's gonna come back, obviously in the Berlin. I don't know if they're going to Austria, but he's gonna come back during that time. Drew McIntyre is gonna probably main event in Glasgow. Obviously, predictable shit, right? Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and that's the most important part. Nothing gained. This was boring. This was unentertaining, and personally, I thought it was a complete waste of the haters' time. Cuckolds.